All right, everyone, and welcome to the new podcast known as Accurately Inaccurate, where me and my co-host Jeff here
What's up?
will talk about just pretty much anything that's on our minds. Not really anything too ordinary, because you can listen to about 1,000 other podcasts and have that kind of conversation with them. But here at Accurately Inaccurate, we're going to be talking about other things that people might not want to talk about, such as conspiracy theories, I
think people want to talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll be talking about stuff that they don't want to talk about as far as conspiracy theories go. Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll find out. Other than that, we'll be talking just about other stuff that we think about while we're talking. Sometimes we'll have great conversations by ourselves and no one's around to hear them, and we think that's a punishment on you all. I think everyone should hear our conversations, aided mostly with the help of our friend Mary Jane.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't do that.
Mary Jane's in the bathroom right now using the restroom as she prepares for this. Mary Jane is our intern. Excuse me. This bird flu's kicking my ass. So, anyways, without further ado, my name is Chris, otherwise known as K. Some people call me Blonde Jesus because of my hair. I don't look like him, though. A little too fat. Co-host here, Jeff. Anything you want to add?
Man, I'm stoked to do this. I've been wanting to do this for a long, long time. And so I've been telling people for years that I'm going to start doing a podcast. And every so often somebody's like, "Hey, how's that podcast coming?" It's not, but I lie to them.
Yeah,
I tell them it's coming
it's
along.
in the works.
But here we are. So yeah, I'm stoked to do this. I'm stoked to get into some shit.
Yeah, me too. I've always wanted to do a podcast as far as I can, or as long as I can remember. Back when I was younger, me and my best friend at the time, Justin Mixon. Shout out to Justin Mixon if you happen to ever hear this. We were really big into sports and stuff, and we always watched Pardon the Interruption with Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. That's not a plug. We were indifferent on how we felt about it. So, with that, we got the idea that we wanted to talk about sports, and it was kind of not really a dream, but we had a good idea to kind of make a YouTube video, kind of the same way that they do, kind of a split screen, talk about random sports topics throughout the day. That never went through, so now we're graduated to podcasts, and this is how me and my friend Jeff came about. Not necessarily with the sports, but we're not going to rule it out as part of the topics of the podcast.
Man.
Accurately Inaccurate.
And to say that didn't become a dream of yours, you're going to school right now to be a sports
I am.
journalist.
I want to be a journalist, mainly a sports journalist, but at this point, I'll take whatever I can get.
Whatever you can get means ESPN. You hit up Chris.
Just lay off a bunch of people.
Oh,
and
room for new.
We can talk about ESPN if you want. We can talk about their recent layoffs and their political views and all of that.
They got political. I know nothing about the ESPN scandal. Didn't somebody die? Who died from ESPN?
Oh, there's been a few people that have died from ESPN.
Wasn't it somebody's wife or something? Just the other day.
Oh, yeah, Chris Berman.
Okay.
Chris Berman, most famous for his gone in the home run derbies and just years upon years of NFL analysis. His wife just passed away in a car accident. Rest in peace to Chris Berman's wife, whom I don't have the name of, and I apologize. But we digress. On today's episode, we will be talking about podcasts, actually. We had a good conversation. Well, we started to the other night. We decided to pause it and save it for our very first episode. And the question on today's board of whatever
on the agenda.
On today's agenda, we are going to be talking about whether or not podcasts are art. Now, this is tricky because I think we have opposing views on the matter, but I don't know.
Well, since we haven't talked about it, I haven't articulated my ideas, and sometimes just speaking them brings you to a conclusion that you weren't aware of before.
Yeah, it's usually helps a lot in lots of other aspects of arguments as well.
So I don't think
like flat earthers.
Oh my goodness! Shout out to you guys.
No, fuck that shout out.
No,
shout out rescinded.
If it weren't for flat earthers, normal people wouldn't feel okay with themselves.
That is probably a very true statement.
Yeah, I mean, because you can have nothing and be like, well, at least I don't believe the earth is flat.
That's true. I'll never be that retarded. But talking about podcasts and it being art, we look at it through the definition of art.
Yeah, so I got this dictionary. What is it? Webster's New World Dictionary, 3rd college edition, if you guys care. All right, so art here, it says the human ability to make things creatively of man and distinguished from the world of nature, which is pretty vague. You could say anything people have done is art with that.
Again, art is very subjective. It might be one of the most subjective things out there next to like love and happiness, shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, so it goes on to say skill, craftsmanship, blah, blah, blah. The one that struck me, though, is number 5. Creative work or its principles, a making or doing of things that display form, beauty, and unusual perception. Art includes sculpture, architecture, literature, drama, the dances, etc. So I don't know, that's
such a broad definition, and one of the worst parts that I think is that even shitty art is considered art.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is kind of an insult to art. And in that, there should be another term for shitty art, and I would say shart. But that already has a definition. What's up, Schmidt? There's a cat here. His name's Schmidt von Dayglow. He's a pretty cool cat.
Yeah, he's
just kind of comes and goes as he pleases. But art on a very, very broad level, I guess it would qualify as art depending on the subject matter of the podcast. For example, my favorite podcast is Comedy Bang Bang Podcast. I would consider that art in a sort of, I don't really know the term I'm looking for, jestly way, if that's a word. Because comedy is a form of art, but I feel like in like societal standards, it's a lower form of art.
Which is a shame.
It is. It's almost like tattoo work or stuff like that. It's kind of a shame because there are some beautiful tattoos and there are some hilarious people out there.
Aren't there?
Now, in Comedy Bang Bang, they riff for a long time, and then comedians will debut characters, and these characters are just sometimes just the funniest things you'll ever hear. But for the most part, they're performing. They're performing for an audience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big factor in some art as well, especially art that involves mostly mediums. Such as TV, radio, movies, all that shit right there. Which I guess you can argue all art is a medium. Because you're seeing it in some way.
Yeah.
But comedic art, I feel like, is different because back in the day, before satire TV and satire movies were a thing, back in the olden days, I can't think of how long ago, long enough to where satyrs were a thing. The satyrs, or however you pronounce it, little half-man, half-goats, were used to perform kind of villain-esque kinds of shows. And it was meant to be comedic. It was meant to be funny. And so that's where the term satire came from, was that form of satirist comedy that they were trying to portray of actual things. This is part of why we're called Accurately Inaccurate, because while I believe that is true and I've studied that, I can't give you an exact quote on that. But I'm very, very certain that that's how the term satire was made. So, when you go back to looking at comedic performances for audiences, depending on the quality of the podcast, it is an art. But if you're doing a podcast like us, I guess, or Joe Rogan's podcast, or Neil deGrasse Tyson's podcast, maybe not Neil deGrasse as much as Joe Rogan, But that's more informative podcasts, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Joe Rogan informs, he makes jokes too, but he
Yeah,
talks
talks
about the
about stuff.
news and politics and social issues and all that shit. All that shit that I don't care about. But, those are more informative styles, I think, because you're listening to them to learn and not laugh. And maybe I'm wrong in that, but that's kind of how I feel on podcasts. And it just depends on depends on the reason you're listening. If you're listening to sports podcasts, I don't think it's art. I think it's more news, really. Spoken radio news. Maybe that they have written stuff down before they speak, but even then, they're not creating stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I guess they're creating a podcast in the sense of recording into a mic, having it saved, and then broadcasting it. But what I'm saying right now, I do not have written in front of me. I'm going off the dome, off the top, like a really good Eminem freestyle, if you will. And Jeff is over here kind of taking notes as we go, kind of like a really good Drake freestyle, if you will.
Taking notes as we go is really generous. I'm mostly just doodling geometric shapes.
Well, notes, shapes, what have you.
Whatever.
He's making art, if you will.
Okay.
That's just another broad subject of it. But what is your view? How do you view podcasts?
Man.
Do you think they're art? Do you think that I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong?
I don't know. Because, alright, so we can look at art. We can judge what is art by looking at things that are comparable to the art. Right? So a podcast, so something like Joe Rogan's podcast would be just about as artsy as like the news is. Right, but I don't know. The news has writers, and they compose something, and it gets aired on television, and that's all a movie is.
Yeah.
They're just faced in different ways.
That's a good point. Like documentaries are seen as art, yet most documentaries cover real life events.
And if documentaries are art, then the news has to be art. And if news is art, then the Joe Rogan podcast is art. But
that means all podcasts would be art.
But if the news is art, then anything you write is art, which makes all of these scientific papers and all these papers that academics and stuff come up with. So that means that it just goes to be real broad, like back in the dictionary. It's just everything's kind of art.
Of course, that's a slippery slope kind of thing that we're going on.
It is a slippery slope, yeah.
Part of another inaccurate
so perhaps
title choice.
Perhaps there's lines, and perhaps the lines are a little blurry. Like that blank canvas on the wall. That's not art. You can have it in an art museum, but that's not art.
And to some people, that might be a beautiful work of art.
So maybe
Which
as long
is why
as
it's
someone
very
thinks it's art, it is art, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, art shouldn't be misconstrued as art. If something gets put out for the sole purpose of being art, whatever it be, a song or a movie or whatever, then yeah, we should probably consider it more or less art. But if makeup, people argue that makeup is an art form.
Oh, do you think makeup
it is an art
not
form.
an art? Okay, I was about to say.
But it's not so much art as it is, I don't know. See, I don't really know where I'm going with that. It's art, but it's not art meant to, it's meant to make someone look pretty and all that and beautiful, and it's very tricky and all that, how chicks and all that make it work and make themselves look so beautiful. From sometimes these bitches are fucking ugly as shit, and they put on all this makeup and all of a sudden they're Kylie Jenner, but then they take it all off and then they're Bruce Jenner. So
You can't say that anymore.
no, I'm talking late 70s Olympian Bruce Jenner.
I still don't think you can say that anymore.
A cereal box Bruce Jenner.
Okay.
Anything that has his signature on it,
That says
Bruce Jenner.
That's good?
it should be Bruce Jenner.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Fair enough.
God, I don't want to get into...
No, so I think...
I'm very tolerant of everyone and whatever they believe.
And that's what sucks about that whole thing, is it seeps into every aspect of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, so makeup is 100% an art, but the difference between makeup and all other forms of art, and not necessarily all other forms of art, because it's kind of the same as a play, you draw the same thing pretty much every day. I'd say most women do their makeup just about the same way every day.
It's more or less a craft, would you not say? There is a difference between arts and crafts, correct? Is there?
Well, there's so much of a difference that they have different words for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then we go into that topic of like, if I build a popsicle stick house with like 2 windows and a door, did I just create art or did I create a craft? Let's look it up. And Jeff here is pulling out the trusty dictionary, looking up the word craft.
Man,
as it pertains to art.
Although I know the alphabet and I've been singing it for years, I still have a hard time with dictionaries. It just takes me some flipping. Where am I? O?
C-R-A-F-T.
C-R? Alright.
But yeah, you have stores that sell arts and crafts, and we won't name them for, YouTube.
Just Google Arts and Crafts Store.
Yeah, or whatever search engine you choose to use.
Boom.
But it's more, I think that it could be considered a craft.
Alright.
In the same sense that, like, woodworking.
So, craft is combining form, the work, skill, or practice of, is what a craft is. Oh, no, there's a bigger definition. Hold on. A special skill, art, or dexterity, an occupation requiring a special skill, especially any of the manual arts.
Okay, so then we have art, and then we have little subdivisions, what's the word I'm looking for there? Subcategories
okay.
Of art, in which crafting would be one, right?
So I think...
Things that you perfect over time.
I think a craft would be, like if somebody makes horseshoes, and that's what they do. Well, once they start making beautiful horseshoes, you've turned this real rigid thing into you've turned the craft into art. I feel like that's like one of these gray lines that's a little fluid.
Yeah. But yeah, I think makeup is 100% an art. I mean, even if I didn't, 10 million other people will, which is another, why we keep saying art is very subjective. It's one of those terms that if you don't like it, it won't be considered art. I have someone private calling me right now. I'm going to ignore that.
Should have put him on there.
I should have.
That would have been fun. Our first caller. Oh, that would have been awesome. Thanks for being our first caller.
That's what we're going to do. I get a lot of bill collectors. Well, not even bill collectors, just spam and scammers calling my phone. So I think we're going to start airing those people. I don't know what segment we can call it. We can call it Live on the Air.
I like it.
Hi, you're live on the air with J and K. Hello, my name is Jonathan Stewart. Because it's always people from the other side of the world who knows where they're from.
Oh yeah, because you can't do that in the United States.
Nope.
They'll send you to jail.
Yep.
It has to be from other countries.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've been watching a lot of these videos on YouTube about like people messing with scammers, and every time they like trace back their IP address or find out where they are, they're always in India. And I thought India and us were buddies. So I also watch the White House briefing with Sean Spicer every day. There's an Indian reporter, and every time he's there, he gets called on, and he asks some sort of really specific question about the United States and India. And it's fantastic. I don't know. And he always made it seem like we were close. Maybe that's not the case.
Well, I mean, we probably do shit too.
Or do you think it's just because we're such easy targets?
We being Americans?
The average American.
The average American. I could see it. I mean,
maybe not even the average American.
We both rent an apartment. We both have one job, doesn't pay super great, but we get by. We're both trying to better our lives. And us and like super old people are the target demographic.
Yeah. 100%. Because I can't.
Because I'm 27, Jeff is 25.
Yep.
25. If I were 20 years old and I got a phone call like that, I got a call that said I was being investigated by the IRS for discriminating evidence on my taxes. If I had gotten that call at 20 years old, I probably would have flipped out and believed him way more than I would now. So yeah, I can totally see that as we digress from the main topic.
Yeah.
But old people, poor old people, they don't know anymore. Half of them don't even know how to use their cell phones, much less know what
I think it's
a Microsoft some odd virus is.
Yeah.
That could sound completely believable. And for all they know, they have pictures of their grandkids, their kids, their great grandkids, whatever.
Yeah,
on
they don't want to lose.
Exactly.
Yep.
So they buy into this crap, end up getting all their money taken.
All right, old people. I mean, if you're listening, I think Verizon has classes that you can take, and they just teach you about your phone. We live in an age where the phone is an extension of the individual, and you got to know how to use it, because it's whether or not you use it properly, it's still a representation of you, and you can get just taken advantage of, just like 50 years ago you could have gotten taken advantage of at the car lot, except this is just strangers just sitting in a cubicle making phone calls. You got to know what's up. I was thinking about that today, how like phone conversations have changed. Like when there was a house phone, when you called, you had the demeanor like you were knocking at their door, and it was all real polite. It almost as if you were face to face with them.
Yeah.
And now when you call, well, you might as well be in a closet with a person. There's no formality. I don't know. It's fascinating.
Yep, because I remember back in the day when I had a house phone.
Yeah, walking uphill.
You couldn't just give that number out to anyone. That was your private phone line to your house. If people knew your house phone, they would probably be able to trace where you lived. If it was one of those situations.
If somebody was being nefarious.
One of those crazy situations, yeah. But I mean, not saying it wouldn't happen. Yeah, now your cell phone's on you. Most people 24/7. Mine's sitting right next to me. We're filming this, or we're recording this on a cell phone as we speak. Which is another variance of art, I think, and how, photography is kind of dying as an art, in my opinion, at least as a medium, because anyone with a decent camera phone can take decent pictures and create art, quote unquote.
Sure. So
within 20 seconds, when 20 years ago. 30 years ago, photographers had their actual camera. They had to buy film, put it in the camera, set the shutter speed, set the aperture, set the stop time, take the picture, develop it. Developing film I took a photography class in high school, and I had to develop film. It took about, to have instant results, about a minute, maybe 10 minutes, but then you had to leave it up to dry. And stuff, all in a dark room, no light, because then the photo would be destroyed. Now you just take a picture, take 40 pictures of something, take 2, roll it out, have the best picture that you took, and that's take 10 minutes.
Yeah, print it out, and you can have 100 by the time you had one.
It's almost a spit in the face.
Yeah.
And it's no one's fault. It's just us as a race advancing in all these different ways.
I think the art form isn't dying. I think it's economics. I think the supply of good pictures went skyrocketing, and so the demand plummeted because we're inundated with really cool pictures all the time. I can scroll through Facebook, and in 3 minutes I'll have 10 different really cool pictures that somebody took.
Yeah, that they.
So I think it's the value of the photo has gone down.
It's a time saving aspect of it, and I think that's another reason why, because that's part of the reason why I think it's a dying form, because it seems like there's no heart in there. There's no heart, there's no passion, and I can pull up my phone right now and put on a filter and take a picture of a leaf up in the air and have it look just super cool.
Oh, and with Photoshop?
Yeah.
Photoshop's a whole other animal.
I wouldn't give 2 shits about the leaf. Here's a leaf that I found on the ground.
Yeah.
Feel free to buy it for $400.
But having so on the flip side of this, the camera phone destroyed the photo industry. On the other hand, how many injustices have those same camera phones captured that are now better because of the awareness brought by these things?
That is true. And which would be a proof that that's maybe not all photography is art.
Yeah, sometimes it's just...
That's a narrow kind of subject. Because you have a select few security cameras.
Yeah.
Although they do get some
art.
good stuff. It's not art.
No.
It can't...
But if you had an art exhibit where you had 8 TVs stacked on top of each other and they were all playing different feeds of different security cameras, it would be art.
And is all media considered art?
Jesus, I don't know.
I mean, movies are considered art.
Yeah. But home videos...
movies are just a shit ton of pictures put together.
Yeah.
Moving in one fucking speed or however the fuck that works. I don't know. I took a class on it. I have the book somewhere. Accurately Inaccurate, folks.
Yeah, our best guess.
Yep,
yeah, what the fuck is going on?
Our slogan, don't cite us in your papers. But podcasts as art, as our original topic. I just had a thought too. What was I gonna say? Oh, it's pretty much just DVR radio if you think about it. All podcasts are, you just take a select recording of someone, listen to it whenever you choose. You don't have to tune in at 12 o'clock Eastern to 10 blah 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 point blah 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 to listen to a certain news segment or countdown or comedy segment or I don't know what have you.
Maybe
crime radio drama if you're still living in the 1930s.
Yeah, those are 100% art because they're put together, they're written, yada yada yada.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm not necessarily talking to you. I'm talking to the room at this point, right? Because there's potentially millions of people in here listening.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be more art than, for instance, the Joe Rogan podcast, where they're talking just one-on-one, and we're really overhearing a conversation?
Exactly. That's pretty much what not what a podcast is. A podcast can be whatever you'd like it to be, over form of radio. I'm not sure where podcast, I would assume, came from, Apple iPod, and that they would just record stuff you can have on your phone, broadcasting to your iPod. Podcast. I don't know. Or it's we're just sitting in a little pod, two little peas sitting in a pod.
Casting out our stuff.
Yeah, a little tinfoil antenna on our roof. Yeah. I don't know. But it can be really anything you want. We could have chosen a plethora of ideas to use as a podcast. We could have came up with characters. We could have written mystery books or stories or trivia questions or riddles. We still can, and we might. Who knows? We'll have people come over and talk too. We might a couple times be watching a movie or a TV show, and we might air that part of it. I don't know. It depends on what we're talking about.
Oh, we could be drunk.
We will most likely be drunk and more than a few. We will be stoned. I will be stoned. Probably the whole time. Just like Jesus.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part of Alex Jones. I get so much hate.
Criminal Jesus. I'm going to be stoned.
I like it.
See, Alex Jones. All right, so is that art? Because he comes out and says that he's creating a character because he lost his kids. But then he came out and said that it was just a character.
Okay, did he really?
First of all, I don't believe it. Yeah.
Because he came on...
He lost in the custody battle, at least.
He came on air, and he said that what had happened was they went through this custody battle. Before the custody battle, he had the kids half the time, she had the kids half the time, but their address, if you wanted to send them mail, was at his house. And then after the custody battle, the only thing that changed is that they now get mail from their mom's house. Now, I don't know if that's just him trying to cover it up. He also then came out and was like, no, I'm not acting, I just had to say some shit, yada yada.
Oh, well, then I mean, you follow him more than I do. I don't really listen to him.
Yes, I don't know.
Listening to him.
But and so when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, we should just call this our take on the Joe Rogan podcast, because That's all we talked about.
Shout out Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh,
I've never
man,
listened,
100% shout out.
I saw you do a stand-up one.
Changed my
I
life.
didn't see you. Sorry. Your stand-up's funny, though. I thought I saw him.
I've never
Jay
seen
Moore.
his stand-up.
That's who I saw.
And
he has a stand-up on a certain streaming service on the internet.
Oh, yeah,
no. Frequent.
Guarantee that he does. But I'm afraid I'm going to be disappointed in it, is what it is. Because I hold him in such high esteem that...
My mom likes Joe Rogan. She doesn't listen to his podcast or anything.
Sure, but his comedy?
That and he's pseudo-political. He's not like Jon Stewart political,
okay,
but
sure.
he knows what he's talking about.
He has some interesting views that I don't
He went from
agree
hosting
with.
Fear Factor to
what a career!
Being one of the probably, if not the top analyst for the UFC.
Yeah, on top of the fact that he has one of the highest netting or most downloaded podcasts.
Yeah. And he's a comedian. He's a stand-up comic.
It. He's a like a bow hunter.
Yeah, dude's insane.
Oh Jesus, what a life!
But I don't even know why we started talking about Joe Rogan.
Man, because he deserves to be talked about. It's so what Russell Brand called it a cultural, what was it? A cultural artifact. His podcast is, and that hits the nail on the head.
He goes for hours though, don't he? I mean, we're at, what are we clocked at? 31:20.
It depends. So either he's talking with somebody he doesn't really care about, and it's socially unacceptable to smoke pot in front of them, so he doesn't, and it lasts an hour and a half. Or either they start hanging out, smoking and drinking, and it'll go to 3 hours. Or he'll talk to somebody who's fascinating, and it'll go 3 or 4 hours. That's how that usually breaks down.
And if it's entertaining, is it still art? Because they're just having a conversation. Granted, he's a stand-up comedian, and of course, all the other things we said about him. But he's put out... Did he write a book, too? I mean...
I don't know.
He's hosted a television show. We've talked about television being art. He's... and some might argue even we can go on another subcategory like sports are an art form in some way, shape, or form.
Yep.
I don't know. I think sports are just sports. I don't think everything has to be black and white. I think you can have different categories of things. Like, if I may be controversial, rape. Not everyone who's sexually assaulted is raped. Sometimes they're just sexually assaulted. That being said, I don't think sports is an art. Some are, but most aren't. I can see the Olympics, that being considered an art.
Or maybe any activity that you do at its highest caliber is art. Right? So a police officer who's directing traffic is not art, but that dancing police officer who has a good old time out there and he entertains people, 100% art.
Yeah, dancing, that's an art form. I guess that's why they say it's an art form. That probably, they say, something that's an art form.
Yep.
It's a form of art. How many forms of art are there, though?
Countless.
Exactly.
And that goes back to...
You think that kind of kills the art as a whole?
No, because it's so important. There's 3 things that every civilization has developed. That's a belief in a higher power, art, and games. Those 3 things are across every civilization, regardless of how removed they are.
That is true. That is very true.
So we've been figuring out new ways to make art since the beginning of people. So of course it would be extraordinarily varied.
Yeah.
It's probably the thing we've been working on the longest.
I mean, art pretty much equals enjoyment.
Yeah.
For the most part. Although there's some art that I see that I don't like, but I won't say that it's not art, because I respect the arts and the different forms of art and entertainment. Oh, fucking fly. As what they are. I mean, I understand that some people out there do enjoy it, even though I might not, and who am I to say that what they enjoy is not what they believe is art? That's why it's subjective.
And so if I may go back to the example of the blank picture on the wall, if you put effort into that, right? Like if you took a black canvas and painted it white, okay, I'll give it to you. But I don't know, it's part of it, I think, is the effort you put into it.
It's almost like that's another subcategory, I think, is like, I don't know, because it's like psychics and like tarot cards and things like that. People might consider that an art.
Yeah, because it's not science.
It's not.
It's entertainment.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's not proven. Like,
no.
What were you just talking about? 2 seconds ago, literally, like before I said psychics.
Oh, the painting the
blank canvases and all that. Really, you're getting people who want to believe it.
Yeah.
If you go somewhere where you know that people are going to be gullible enough to believe that that white canvas represents something, when all you did was probably just buy a canvas, and even if you did just paint it white,
yeah,
doesn't really take much effort, just a bunch of white paint. But if you go to somewhere and people are looking for art that speaks to them because they need that validation of relating to something, you can so easily go in there and just spew some bullshit. Like, yeah, the white canvas over the black represents the light at the end of the tunnel, or
something.
Me finding happiness after being in a dark hole for so long, or something, and someone out there is going to buy that. Just like tarot cards and palm readers and all that, you say a couple broad statements, and someone is going to want to believe you, and so you're going to say a statement that'll be true for most people. You know, like, I sense you've lost someone recently. 9 times out of 10, someone has lost someone recently. That's recently can be what, a week to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I guess my friend Alex Snyder, who passed away not last year, 6 months ago. Not even that. But
it was
recently.
Yeah.
You know, a psychic could say that to me, and that'd be my first thought. Yeah, I did.
Maybe we're thinking about this wrong.
Boom, hook, line, I'm already on the hook right there.
What if we exclude, like, the actions that have to take place to make art? What if art is just something that moves us, not necessarily spiritually, but like emotionally, like when you're overcome by a song or like a picture particularly strikes you? Could that be the definition of art? Something that moves us?
Yeah, I think it is.
And
just different things move different people in different ways.
So as long as it's moving, it's art.
As long as...
Because a Corvette is totally art. Those things are a piece of work. That detail, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, those can be considered art. Virtually anything can be considered art if you look at it in the perspective of art.
Yeah.
Almost anything. Except for, sex.
100%
Some people
art.
consider that an art. I mean, you got the Kama Sutra and shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fucking... Of course, racing, if you're driving. I don't know if you're...
if you're a professional driver.
Guns. Some people might consider guns.
Yeah, those people that do tricks and shit.
Yeah.
Yo-yoing.
Yo-yoing, yeah.
Yeah.
You got, like, braiding hair. Cooking, of course. Cooking. Can't forget cooking. Sports. We've mentioned sports earlier. All these forms of art that aren't really... I'm not going to say they aren't art, but when I say that, I mean they aren't art in, I guess, olden societal standards.
I think
it's not art in the sense that it's not the Mona Lisa or it's not done by an artist. Because I remember when I was a little kid, I thought pretty much that, I took an art class and all we did was draw. We drew and colored. So for a long time, I visualized art as being just paintings, colorings, drawings, color books.
Yeah.
Never until, like, I got older, of course, that I realized that other things to be considered art, like cooking,
Sure.
sculpting,
Metalwork.
metalwork,
Yeah.
exactly, woodworking.
So perhaps the conclusion we can
Sewing.
reach here is that
Knitting, all this other stuff.
all of those things, yeah. But maybe what we can get at here is that art is too vague of a word, and we need to add more words to describe art differently.
Exactly.
Okay.
Art is one of those very vague words. It's almost like freedom. Not as vague, but because like while we're in America and we're free, I can't go out there and punch our annoying neighbor just in the face and not expect repercussions.
I don't know.
But I think that it's also in the mind of the person creating it.
Yeah.
For example, this podcast, I don't want to consider as art as much so as entertainment.
I almost need to consider it art, because if I don't think of it as art, I get real self-conscious about it, because I like to say I'm a relatively private person, and I don't really want my business out there like that. But if it's an art form, I'm much more open to the idea.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to put all of our business out there, of course.
No.
I can give you my phone number, people. Unless you want it.
They'll find it.
They will.
If we get popular enough, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They will.
Which I believe is extremely unlikely, so we should be good.
Yeah, I mean, there's only like 6 numbers in my whole number. Not even.
Well, man, you shouldn't have said that. That just narrowed it way down.
Yeah.
Because people are going to make
I mean,
charts and start
Yeah,
calling them
I
all.
forget. They found Shia LaBeouf
Yeah.
in the middle of a farm.
Yeah, don't ever doubt them.
Of course, I do have one of those European phone numbers, so good luck.
Yeah, +7. It's a bitch to call them.
I got a call from +0 the other day.
Oh
I
no.
didn't answer it. I was at work.
Yeah, international phone calls?
Spam
I
call.
think they're still expensive.
Spam call, I think.
Okay.
But, yeah. So it just depends on and I guess we're still talking about podcasts being art. If the podcaster considers it to be art and he wants it to be art, then I guess if the people accepting it
Yeah.
take it as art, then it's art.
Still don't want to have your first caller, huh?
Nah, I feel like, we're on 45 minutes? I'm kind of running out of things to say. I'm
Man,
not
we could
gonna
talk
lie.
about something else. We got, what are these things we got on this book?
No, we can't talk about all those. We gotta save those for different episodes.
Oh, do we? We're limited to one thing an episode?
Yeah, we can go 45 minutes just talking about podcasts being art. We can probably go for another 15 just talking about what else we can talk about for an hour.
Yeah.
And we'll have people come over, like Kyle and Miguel, Miguel, as I call him, come over
And see Weil.
spit about 15 minutes of bullshit each. Miguel will probably talk about some stupid game.
Or some
Daddy.
crazy shit he saw around here.
Yeah, that would... half of it's probably false.
Well, they're good stories.
They are. They are pretty good stories, I will say that. But yeah, I don't know, 45 minutes? But, just... news podcasts, I don't consider them art because I don't think they're trying to be art.
That's fair.
I don't think we should give something a label that it's not trying to be.
Well, not only are they not trying to be art, people aren't looking at it as art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not looking at it for the sake of why people look at art.
Sure.
I guess that's another question, why people look at art. People look at art to feel better, to feel good,
Sometimes
to
feel worse.
whole, to feel worse.
Yeah, just to
relate
feel something. Yeah.
Yeah, to feel. To relate, to feel, to, help. To help people if they're, I guess, a part of feeling. To help people in bad places get better or whatever. It's probably used as what's the word? A revival? Kind of, I don't know, that's not the word I'm trying to think of.
Like a pick-me-up?
In between pick-me-up and revival.
Okay.
just like a guidance kind of thing. You know, like, okay, if someone puts out decent, consistent art, say it's a singer, and the person singing the song is singing about down days and, you know, dark times, the person going through dark times will relate.
Kid Cudi.
Keep listening to it, yeah, and then that person will sing about, you know, good days ahead and keeping their head up and all that. I'm not any one person in particular, just kind of spitballing. The person listening, more likely than not, if they've been listening to the artist enough, be like, all right, yeah, that artist is right. There are good times ahead and all that. Just got to keep my head up, got to keep trying. And then the artist will release something about reaching the good times, finally being happy. And for the most part, we can assume that hopefully the happy ending here is that the person listening will have followed their footsteps. And that would be a very good testament on how important art is. But if that person isn't going through dark times, and it's just, you know, a 35-year-old, healthy, rich husband or wife picking up their kids from soccer practice, they're probably not going to look at dark stuff. Like, I don't even know, we were just talking about earlier, sad songs.
Sad song.
A person in a healthy, happy relationship won't be looking to sad songs for art.
Yeah. I did like how when B.O.B. was discovering that money doesn't equal happiness, how he wrote about it. And what was that, Strange Clouds, I think? Or was that the one before it? One of those albums. He was talking about, you know, how he was super successful, but he, like, couldn't pick up the phone and call his mom. And, I don't know, it was all getting to him. And he was wrecking his apartment. And, I don't know, it's crazy to see. I wonder what kind of parallels we can draw from him being in that state of mind to him thinking the earth is flat.
Yeah, maybe he's just crazy.
Is that a slippery slope? Did the lizard people get him?
Ooh, I don't know. That is a slippery slope.
Just it's like that fame and that success and not having a personal level, or like personal relationships like normal people have. And
so you fill that void with ridiculous thoughts?
With ridiculous thoughts? What else is there?
Psychedelic thoughts.
Psychedelic thoughts. Yeah, 100%.
That was his album name.
100%.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I can see it. Yeah. It's always these fucking whack jobs.
But he still jams. He's one of my favorite artists.
Oh yeah, he's a very good artist, I think. B.O.B. Bobby Ray. But yeah, so I don't really know what else we can talk about as far as podcasts and art. I think we pretty much covered most of the bases. Yeah. If not, I'm sure our viewers or listeners...
Oh no, we wanted to talk about what our jingle would be, or our intro song.
Oh, I think we should do that off air. We should air it as a surprise.
As a surprise? Alright, well stay tuned for next time with our new jingle.
What do you say, we do this once a week or so? Or?
I don't know, let's not commit to anything. Let's do another one soon, but let's I don't know, let's not set people up
this is
disappointed.
Although I do hope this goes well, and I hope that somehow we can find the right medium.
Fucking make money.
And just
it would be baller.
Get well known, because I'm good at stuff, Jeff's good at stuff, not even just talking about podcasts and stuff, but he can make a hell of a map. I can write a hell of a story.
And we just know things. I feel like everybody knows things that other people would find useful.
Yeah, and if, like, Cash Me Outside Girl can get virally famous, not to say that she's not smart, but she is a younger kid.
Yeah, making...
Who knows what she knows? I mean, she might be dumb to everyone, and she does come off as a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but she might be able to come over here and explain some shit
She
to
might
us.
be good at algebra, too. Who knows? She might be a great singer with that disgusting voice. But if Adele can have her gross fucking voice and be able to sing like the songbird she is, Who's to say that some people can't?
Who's that British opera singer that was on like American?
Karen something.
I don't know. She
Kathy?
always gave me the willies.
Yeah, she was like 68 years old.
Yeah, and her voice is beautiful, but I don't know. She just always gave me the willies.
Mm-hmm. Of course, those are British people, and I'm not hating on the British people.
Oh man, British people are fascinating.
And they can't control that accent.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about the British government.
Yep, we'll be talking about that soon. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we might even use these encyclopedias to find out what the British government was like in 1882.
Maybe, but don't source us, or don't quote us, or cite us.
Oh, why not?
Whatever I said our catchphrase was.
You should. You should.
Because I feel like some poor schmuck out there that's listening. Yeah, I'm talking to you, schmuck. If you're that schmuck.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. Is going to hear that and be writing a paper about art and cite us as a podcast that they listen to in their paper.
Why not? Our ideas are valid. Our ideas.
Their opinions. Well,
I don't know.
yeah, for the most. I mean, we spit some facts, but no more facts than a simple certain search engine search would pull up, right?
You think? Well, they will now.
I mean,
Once
yeah,
you
we
can
said
Google
that like all this stuff is
online.
art. I mean, just ask anyone on the street.
I suppose.
I don't think we have no creditations.
Oh yeah, that's very true. I am not an
Credentials.
artist.
Credentials is the word I'm looking for,
I am
folks.
not a professor of art or art nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty much why we're called Accurately Inaccurate.
Yeah.
Because
That's our
I like
best
to
guess.
think I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Oh. Well,
I do crosswords every Wednesday. People at work
Really?
call me smart.
you do crosswords every Wednesday?
Well, I start crosswords. The crosswords that I have around here
Yeah,
somewhere are the
somewhere.
ones I start every Wednesday.
Okay.
I have about 4 other ones besides like the 3 I have around here.
Gotcha.
All of them are like a quarter of the way done. But it's good mental exercise, and I am nothing if not mentally fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Give you that.
that's all I got for today.
All right, sounds good. We'll wrap this up.
All right, everyone. Hold on real quick. We have to follow me on Facebook at Chris Johnson, KrisJohnson. I live in Dayton, Ohio. And follow Jeff Dunn on...
Well, no. You got your phone number on there. You guys got to come find me. All right, guys.
Well, how are we gonna come out? What's your YouTube name?
I don't know, but if they're watching it, they're probably there.
So whatever channel this YouTube video is going to be under, subscribe to it and share. Get everyone listening because
Do we have to say that anymore?
I want to.
Is that-
I want people
okay.
to know who we are.
All right, fair enough. Well, to us.
Follow me on Facebook, Chris Johnson. Jeff, you have a Twitter handle you want to drop?
@ Jeff Daddy D.
@ Jeff Daddy D. Follow Schmidt Von Dayglow on Instagram. What's his Instagram name?
It's Schmidt_VD.
Schmidt_VD, like venereal disease.
Yeah.
I don't have an Instagram because I'm a fucking lame-o. And I have a Twitter, but I don't use it. So I'm not going to worry about dropping that. Other than that,
We should probably plug a sponsor or two, right?
I'm not a real one, though, right? We can't, like, say...
Well, I don't know. I'm
actual
sure we could
sponsors.
make something up that would work. This podcast is partially brought to you by the Federal Reserve, making money for a long-ass time now.
Yes,
With-
and by water.
Well,
Because
man.
drinking water is very important.
Yep.
Drink water. You don't have to drink as... I don't think you have to drink as much as everyone says you do.
No,
That's
usually
another
don't.
topic we should talk about.
All right, I'll write it down.
Drinking water. Water and food, of course. Please eat food. 3 meals a day. Breakfast is the most... that's my sponsor. Sponsored by breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Best in the morning. I prefer it at night. What's your favorite breakfast food?
Steak.
Steak?
Steak.
All right.
If I had to pick one.
Hamburgers.
Hamburgers. No, I'll tell you, steak and eggs with some hash browns.
Oh man, that's a good brunch meal right there. Brunch is good too. Don't hate on brunch. Brunch is fucking awesome. If you shit on brunch, you don't know what you're missing. You're combining 2 meals in one.
You
Chicken
get the
and
best-
waffles.
best of both worlds. Chicken and waffles. Classic brunch meal.
Love my chicken and waffles. Well, drop your comments in the comment section below and all that crap that
Should
everyone
they?
else says.
Are we gonna check those?
Who knows?
All right.
But they have the freedom to do it because
Yeah.
this is America, goddammit.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, drop your comments, questions below. Let us know what your favorite breakfast food is. Let us know if we should try anything new. And until then, we'll see you next time. This has been Accurately Inaccurate. I am Kay.
And I am Jay.
And
Together we're KJ.
have a sweet life, Cincinnati.